Now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the wet situation because I think that's really important. And actually, that's where I see the biggest difference and biggest opportunities on Sunday in the rain. Okay, so let me show you guys now. So we'll talk about turn one, La Source. Check this out. That's a mad picture, eh? Let me talk you through it. So we got George Russell in 2021 at the top. And this is turn one analysis only, by the way. Turn one only. George Russell across the top. And this all turn one. I think I said that a few times. Hamilton in 2018, different year. And then Verstappen's line as well, the pole lap in 2021. A couple of things I want to point out to you guys are the lines. Let's focus on George for a second. So George is braking on the mid-track here, and I think all of them are because the rubber is across the left here. That's the normal dry weather racing line. It's very slippery in the wet. So he's braking a step inside, and then he does not do a short corner. He starts to turn into the corner, and then he turns in very conventionally from there and takes a very normal apex from here. Now you would look at it and think, well, the only thing he's done here in terms of wet line is break off the rubber. He hasn't necessarily done his rotation off the rubber. This is very normal. And he probably meets the rubbered in part of the track here at the apex and then on the exit as well. So that's George Russell. Just note that down. It's only the braking. Whoa, give me a sec. Must have clicked something the wrong way. It's only the braking. All right, let's go down to Lewis Hamilton. Similar under braking, if anything, a step to the left. And what Lewis is trying to do here is go around and do the whole short corner thing, the whole wet line thing around the left here, where you see this orange thing here. He's trying to head over there and do the short corner that way. The problem that Lewis has is as he cuts across this rubber under braking, guess what happens? He locks up both of the front tires, particularly the left front tire, because he's turning to the left to get over here, remember? So that's something that George is not, he's not susceptible to that risk because he never crosses over the normal racing line under braking. He just goes straight and then dives into the corner from there, straight and then turn in. So because he's not trying to get to the outermost part to do his rotation on the outside, he's not susceptible. He's got plenty of braking grip. Lewis trying to cut across that rubber, that's when he actually locks up when the tires hit the rubber. So then it's dramas thereafter, and he has to do his rotation off. That's fine. Max executes what Lewis wanted to do much more cleanly. So he does brake in the same position in the mid-track, and he does want to cut across the rubber to do his rotation out a little bit wider. Max manages to do that with no lockups. You can see he's a step wider of the apex here, and he goes around thereafter. Let me show you guys on the whiteboard what this would look like if I just draw out the different lines together, which I've pre-done for you guys. So I hope you appreciate it. So here we can see what's going on. So let me just close this. So you've got the La Source turn one, and you've got crucially where the rubber is. That's the most important thing that you need to draw immediately. Where is the normal racing line rubber, and what is the implication? So that's that's this highlighting here, this black highlighting that you see around here. That's the normal racing line rubber. So you can see all three drivers braking off the rubber. That's all this section here. So that's fine. Crucially, Russell in light blue, you'll see him dive into the corner earlier. And like I say, because he doesn't cross over the rubber, there's no chance for a lockup. So he does not shoot across for the rubber. That's where Hamilton locked up right here. So George just dives in pretty much. I'm just going to take that back. George in light blue dives in and, takes from there. Max and Lewis's is very theoretical. Like George is very unconventional. You wouldn't coach or teach something like that. But at this time, at this phase of the analysis or investigation, I'm not going to sit here and say one is better than the other. I'm just going to say these are different and you need to explore and do a few laps and see how it feels, see how it goes. Because it just depends on too many things. You've got to execute these lines correctly in the first place for you to then be able to assess them. Lewis didn't execute his line correctly, as you can see in purple with the lockup over here. So you've got to actually, Lewis, when he crossed over, you've got to actually execute these lines cleanly before you can then pair them up and say, well, this one's better because of this reason, for example. So Hamilton locked up just as he crossed the rubber over there. That meant that he was wider. Again, this is his 2018 lap. And then you've got Russell Verstappen in 2021. And yeah, the crucial thing for Max as well is when he comes around here, he's really focused to cut across the rubber as well over here and then go straight as well. Whereas again, George is not so worried about that. George is also accelerating on the rubber here as well. Now, if I had to sit here and say which line do I prefer, I'm taking Max's every day of the week. It's just more conventional. It's the normal thing. You cross the rubber in two places. Potentially he went out a little bit too wide as I've drawn here, sorry. Like too wide out here. You don't need to be so far. You can be closer or closer. You know, there are options. You don't need to be like all the way out there. But like I'm taking Max's philosophy. But then what I did, you guys will be surprised to know, what I did then was have a look at the delta and see, well, this was the same year. This was Russell and Verstappen, turn one. We should be able to look up exactly what happened. Let's do that together now and see what happened there at turn one with the delta. So you've got Verstappen's, I'll just zoom in. There you go. Can you see that? You got Verstappen's 59.7, that was the pole lap, and Russell's 2 minutes dead. Now, turn one, the delta goes down and then up. And then at the end of it all, it's in Russell's favor by 1.4 tenths. Can you believe it? That's so interesting. Like I wouldn't have expected that. So that's my first insight for you guys is like, remember the curiosity piece that I always talk about? Is it better? Is this better than this? Why should we try it? I don't know. Like you've got to also be like, you know, we're talking about something very, very challenging here. Like last source hairpin in the wet, where is the rubber, what's the impact, what line do you take, and so on. Robbie says Verstappen faster in but Russell better out. Yes, exactly, but overall, yeah, Russell's 1.4 tenths to the good. Now it looks like Williams has got less downforce because have a look at this, look at the runaway kind of delta here. It goes from 1.3, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 2.2, 2.3, 2.5. And it goes all the way down in braking before the chicane there, 2.5 tenths. So that's the sort of impact that even in the wet weather, the low drag setup can have, right? But anyway, it's still 1.4 tenths. So that's your first insight, guys. So I'd be saying like, well, now we know, I think we know the answer to turn one. Like you could probably take Russell's line. And now that you know you're going to execute that line, it seems fairly straightforward to do. So let's jump over to the whiteboard. We can hopefully try to remove some of this beautiful drawing, and then we can just pretty much leave what Russell's doing here. Just remove that, and then yeah, you just that's pretty much going to be the solution. So break off the rubber. Importantly, you don't cross the rubber. You just end up on it in the slow speed, and then if you want, as a variation, you can try to take it a bit tighter and accelerate right parallel with where George was accelerating off the rubber. That might be a variation to that line, something to try. But I think both these options are really good options, option one and option two. But I don't think you're going to change your braking and entry. So that's really interesting. That's my first insight for you guys. That seems to be the way to go. Again, playing golf is, do you see how much, let me just come back to me for a second, guys. Do you see how much ground we've covered here at turn one, how much we've learned just by comparing and doing a little bit of research in the last 10 minutes? Like a game of golf, whilst it might relax you, is not going to help you into turn one, unfortunately. So yeah, I just want to highlight, like, this is the sort of preparation that the drivers need to be doing, particularly if they're fighting for a world championship. So that's turn one. I got more comparison corners to go. So let's have a look at turn 8, where our friend was talking about the short corner. One thing I want to show you guys here is the difference in line, again, between the two drivers under braking. This is George on top, braking very traditionally, very conventionally. If you're not sure where we are, let me just go back to the whiteboard. I'll show you where we are. We're the long corner of constant radius, guys, turn 8. We're here. Braking into here. Cool. So we got George braking on the rubber here, on the normal sort of conventional racing line. And then we've got Hamilton. Check this out. Look where he's braking. It's beyond mid-track. It's more like super tight line. Yeah, really interesting. Again, Like I can't say like one is better than the other. Max was doing something more like George, but again, doing the whole short corner piece, going out wider, doing the rotation wider, faster in, faster out, condensing that rotation period down is very important in a long corner of constant radius. Let me draw out what that looks like for you guys. So you got the long corner of constant radius. It looks like the rainbow because it's very constant. And then the whole short corner thing says, go out wide like that, rotate the car very aggressively here, and then have a nice straight throttle. So a lot of your rotation is done here off the rubber. But then, you got George braking on the rubber here as well. So again, I don't have like a definitive answer for you guys because Max and George were doing something very similar. Lewis, it's tricky to compare because conditions were very different and it was a different car as well. So like I can't say Lewis with the tight line early entry is better than Max doing what we just drew, the short corner. It's very hard to say. But you got to be explore. If I had to place my bets, I'd not be doing what Lewis is doing. This corner's too long for that. You could get away with it in La Source, like what George was doing in La Source turn 1. This corner's a long corner of constant radius. I think it's too long of a corner for you to not be able to do for not to go for a short corner. So I'd stay where George is and then do a short corner thereafter. Okay, check this out, guys. This is like Lewis Hamilton at his best here. As I was watching this today and taking these screenshots, you guys want to know what I noticed? On the way down to Puon, diff entry change, diff entry 9, and then a few meters later, a high-speed differential change, diff high speed 11. And I was like, geez, man, Lewis, like I don't want to say did he used to be better, but this is what I've been like screaming for Lewis Hamilton, like to be playing with the tools, to be adapting, to be trying things, to be exploring with his driving and not necessarily, speaking about the car. And he recently was saying that he had to change engine braking. He's never had to change that before. And here I am seeing this and I'm like, this is it. This is what you need to be doing, Lewis. Optimize the car, Nico Rosberg style, corner by corner to address you to assist you in what needs addressing. Yeah, it's diff entry change and a high speed diff change. And this is on his pole lap, and I'm like, this is there. It's in there somewhere. And look, I don't follow Lewis around 24/7 during the weekend. I can't say categorically that he's not touching the steering wheel anymore. No, that would be a step too far. But I haven't seen him be able to problem solve like maybe he used to. I'm not sure, but anyway, I thought I'd call that out because that's a good piece of driving. Like that's you need a good eye and you need to pay attention to that as well. Let's have a look at turn 12, turn 13, the Fanya chicane. Again, it's the same thing as what we saw with turn 8, the long corner of constant radius. I'll go back to the whiteboard for a second just to show you guys where we are here. We're on the entry to turn 12, turn 13, the Fanya chicane. So yeah, you'll see Lewis again with this entry slightly tighter, braking off the rubber. Good. It's no worries here. That's all good. And you see George doing something different again, braking on the rubber. But it will work for George if he can go around this corner. If that's his intention, is to go around the outside of this corner, which is what Max did, by the way. Whereas Lewis, it's clear that he's going to turn in early and just dive in early and sit on the rubber for a little bit. He's happy to do that as well. So if I go next shot, you'll see now the difference in the two drivers' lines, Hamilton and Verstappen. And this, for me, this image right here, guys, for me, tells you that Lewis Hamilton is a tight line, early turn-in driver, and Max Verstappen is a short corner driver, one of the only short corner drivers. Now, you're going to hear other guys saying Max, Lewis, Charles, they're all short corner drivers. It's nonsense because look here, look in front of you. Max is doing our short corner. He's going out wide, off the rubber, condensing the rotation down, doing all his rotation in one quick period, extending the straights, coming in and out. He's got so much lock on at this point. That's the short corner. Look where his steering wheel is. Whereas look at this steering wheel, like almost, how do you call that? 90 degrees, straight up and down here, turning. Look at Lewis's. It's almost like half, like 45, 50 angle. There's your insight. So short corner, because the rotation has to be condensed. If you haven't seen my video on what is a short corner, uh, definitely check it out. It's on my channel as soon as you go there. But this is pretty much it. The Max is aiming for to like pass this blue sign almost, get the car straight and go from there. Whereas Lewis is trying to keep minimum speed downforce active in the middle of this corner, keep the car alive in the middle, even though he's on the rubber. This is a very insightful picture, guys. We've been live for 40 minutes now. I could spend another few hours on this picture, like talking to you guys. I won't, but I recommend that you come back and try to understand this and watch the short corner video and make sense of this, because in the wet, 100%, this is what you want. Short corners each and every single time. This is braking into the final chicane, the bus stop chicane. George braking off the rubber. But crucially, check this out. Where they accelerate out of the final chicane is very important. You got Max and George down the bottom accelerating on the rubber. And then you got Lewis saying, no, I'm not accelerating out there. I want to do my acceleration a step across the usual racing line, a step across the rubber, and try to find some traction. So he's put in an additional armful of lock through the left-hander to get through, make sure the car's nice and straight as he just comes down this side. So that's a little golden nugget that you'll find as well. Again, it's something that the guys need to test and try. I can't tell you which one's better or not. The advantage with these guys is they can open the steering a little bit earlier and then go for the throttle. That's helpful. Lewis has to carry that steering lock for a little bit longer to cut him around to find this piece of track. But now he's got the rewards for it. He's got the benefit of it. He's got the nice straight line traction as well.